Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Generation X Nation. Y'all see the thumbnail. We're going to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville. Social media streets are blowing up on that one. We're going to talk about Belle Collective because I got a few things I need to tell Miss Shantae. And then we're going to talk about the reunion part 2 of the Housewives. And let me tell you something. The Housewives, let me do my disclaimer before I get started. As always, thank you to everybody who has tuned into the channel. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Whoever leaves a comment, I definitely appreciate it. Keep sharing my channel, people. YouTube getting tough out here, all right? And as always, everything on my channel is alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Again, alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. So before we get started, we're going to start off with the Housewives of Atlanta. That reunion part 2 was everything. All right. I'm not going to go too deep into it. I will just say this. You know how I am. I don't have a dog in the fight. Week to week, I give my commentary based on the episodes that air, with the understanding that some scenes are edited out. But I have to say this. Everything on this channel is alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. I'm going to say that one more time. That doggone Kelly, who I gave so much grace to last week and before that, and I'm like, Kelly, do your thing, sis. Make that what does she call herself? She is the standard. She made some t-shirts, she made some mugs. I'm like, hey, hit that moment while the iron's hot, make you a little money off your little comment. Your video's going viral. The interview you did with Carlos is going viral. Who wouldn't do that? But Kelly keeps on surprising me. Just when I thought you can zoom in on her and maybe mold her into a different housewife who can be lighthearted and funny, you, I don't know, that reunion made me think twice about my comment about you, Kelly. So I may have to backtrack, and I know I hate flip-flopping, but between Kelly and Shamia, I have been doing a lot of flip-flopping back and forth. And I'm going to throw Pinky in there too. I don't know what was going on with that side of the couch. But Kay Michelle, you don't even need to be over there with them. I'm just going to be honest. Let them three women dig their own grave. I like Kay Michelle on the show, and I know her and Drew went back and forth, but I actually like Kay Michelle because at some point she seems like a reasonable person. But for some reason, Kelly and Shamia disdain for pretty much everybody else on the show other than themselves kind of makes it hard and cringeworthy when I'm watching this reunion because they kept snapping back no matter who said something. The only person they didn't snap back too much was Cynthia. But Pinky tried it with Cynthia, and Cynthia said, you know what? I'm OG. I don't need this. Let me pull back. Y'all got it. See, you guys are still fighting for your spot. Even though Andy said everybody's coming back, we love the dynamics. Let me tell you something. Don't believe the hype. I don't know what Kelly is trying to do and what Shamia is trying to do and what Pinky is trying to do, but it is turning people off. And we are out here fighting for you guys and rooting for you guys. And then when we see this reunion, it's like, I might need to pull back. So we know you guys are coming back next season, and I'm going to need to see better than what you gave us in part 2 reunion. And the reason this is titled The Drama Goes On Social Media, because y'all are giving more drama on social media, Twitter and Instagram and all of that, than you're actually doing on the show when it's filming. That's what I'm seeing. So let's do the rundown real quick, and I ain't going to get too deep. They sitting on the couch. Of course, they introduce Cynthia. Cynthia comes out looking magnificent as always. She sits down on the couch, and then Andy updates her on everything that's happened so far. Then we get into Shamia and Kelly, Shamia and K. Michelle's conversation. And Kay Michelle is explaining what happened when her and Shamia and Kelly allegedly went out to this dinner, and Shamia was trying to encourage her to pick a team and go on her side. And she was giving Kay Michelle preconceived notions about the other girls. And that's why Kay Michelle was running funny toward Portia and Drew and the rest of them, because she was being fed information through Shamia. Now, Shamia kept denying this didn't happen, this didn't happen. And then Kay Michelle Michelle said, well, we got a witness. Kelly, you was there. And then Kelly's like, oh, I don't really want to say anything. See, Kelly, you full of crap. Because had that been Drew or Portia, you would have took a side and said something. But in that instance, you know you don't want to piss off K Michelle because she ain't the one. And you don't want to lose your friendship with Shamia. So you tried to play, straddle the fence and act like, well, I just wish you two girls would just get along. And I don't know, you would never admit who was wrong and who was right. And you know that somebody in that conversation was telling the truth. So I call boob crap on you, Kelly. I don't want to, cuss on stage. Now, during that conversation, uh, Kay Michelle was saying, hey, you guys were sitting here trying to give us noise from the outside noise, which was apparently her friends that are not part of the housewives group. And then you was trying to get her to be loyal to the friends who to her inside of the housewives group. So Kay Michelle was like, I'm getting it from both sides. You don't want me to be friends over here, but you also have your friends outside this group have an issue with you being friends with me outside the group. So I can see where Kay Michelle was like, hey, what do you got going on here, Shamia? So now she's looking at Shamia as a liar. And Shamia does look bad because Kay is sitting here telling you, saying to the group in front of you, she's not standing behind your back. She's saying you basically did not want me to be friends with these people. You and your mother was calling Portia Jezebel. Y'all had me out in the club in the middle of the night trying to basically swear my loyalty to you and your group. And meanwhile, your outside friends, which is that's the candy coated clique or whatever you want to call them, don't even want you hanging around me. So now Kay Michelle is kind of confused. So when she admits all of this happening and she says, this is why I was behaving the way I was behaving. So who was doing the plotting and scheming, Kay? Was it Shamia and Kelly or was it the other side of the couch? Because y'all kept referring to the other side of the couch when Portia was like, well, what dinner? Where were y'all at? They knew nothing about this dinner. So the person you saying was plotting and scheming had to have been on the other side of the couch, on the same side of the couch that you was sitting on. That's all I'm saying. And I ain't gonna get too deep into that because you guys have seen it from a lot of other people. But calling Portia said, you and your mama talking about me, calling me a Jezebel. Your mama ain't got nothing to say about me. You tell your mom don't be talking about me. So of course her and Shamia were going back and forth. And then Kelly has to come into the conversation, of course. And she said, well, Kay, I don't need you to be listening to noise from the other side of the couch. And even Andy had to stop Kelly, like, hey, don't talk about that side. You focus on what's going on over here. Because the ladies on the other side was sitting there listening to y'all explain away the plot that y'all was scheming against the other side of the couch and the other side of the couch knew nothing about. And Kelly had to throw that in there. I'm trying to figure out, Kelly, what has Portia done to you and Drew done to you and Phaedra so bad, even though Phaedra has took your case for free and you kind of toned yourself down with Phaedra. What have they done to you so bad that you constantly throw daggers at them when they're sitting there minding their own business? That's all I'm gonna say. Then after that, Andy played Cynthia's song "Peach for Life." I think it was called "The Peach Life." I'm sorry. It was really nice. They said it was a bop, whatever whatever they call these new phrases nowadays. I think the song was really nice, and I think it will definitely do good, especially in those techno clubs. Now I'll get to Pinky real quick. Pinky, she talked about the bankruptcy, and then her and Phaedra were going back and forth, and Andy was saying, "Hey, you came on the show, you exposed yourself, you let the world know what was going on financially." And then she said, "Well, I filed bankruptcy because it's a tool in the code to help people. Thank God, thank God the country has this tool to help people that are going through stuff." And then she said, "It was able to help me out, and I was able to buy my company back." I don't know if she bought her company back, how much money. I'm at the point where I don't believe everything come out of Pinky's mouth at this point, and I'm just being honest. So when Phaedra and Cynthia, they were interjecting saying, you're talking and she said you had investors that invested $25 million and some of these investors was black. And she said, I filed my bankruptcy. She started snapping immediately. That has nothing to do with it. I was able to save my company, just snapping back at them. And I'm like, Pinky, is it going over your head? Are you picking up what Phaedra is putting down? Pinky just act like she did not care about the investors. So what Phaedra was trying to tell her, and even Cynthia said it because she said I owned a restaurant, and even Portia said it. All three of these ladies was trying to tell her, Pinky, the way you are making this statement makes it feel like you didn't care about the investors losing money. You only cared about yourself coming out of that scot-free. And they were trying to tell you that. And you was looking at it like they was throwing a dig at you for filing bankruptcy. Well, white people file bankruptcy all the time. So a black person filed bankruptcy, then that's a problem. And she's like, that's not what we're saying. We're saying you act as though the people who invested their money in you and the people who supported you and gave you this money, you was like, oh, well, y'all lost. I'm good. I'm clear. And I'm like, Pinky, why aren't you understanding what they're saying? I mean, you are college educated. Even I understood that. I kind of felt like, is English comprehension a problem? You didn't understand. We all watching it, and we all understood exactly what Phaedra was trying to say, what Portia was trying to say, what Cynthia was trying to say, but you didn't want to hear it because immediately you feel like somebody is trying to attack you. So then you went into telling Phaedra about, are you a businesswoman? Don't. One thing we're gonna do about Miss Phaedra Parks is not question her credentials. Then you throw in there, win a case. You didn't win the Bobby Brown case or ask Bobby Brown or something. She said, I was his lawyer for 8 years. Phaedra has one case. She has been Bobby Brown lawyer for 8 years, and she has several businesses. And Phaedra said, I am self-financed, so I didn't have investors. So any money that's lost is my money, and I ain't never filed bankruptcy. And that was where she cut Pinky at. So of course, Pinky did not like that. The problem with Pinky is Pinky did not take accountability for losing these people's money. And when they was trying to tell her that, she just missed the whole point of it all. So now they're going back and forth. And then, of course, Miss Kelly steps in and she has to put her 2 cents into the argument. And she said, it could happen to you. It could happen to anybody. And that's when Phaedra let her know she was self-funded. And then I think Pinky said something to the effect of, uh, these none of these people over here ever owned a brick and mortar or something like that. And I'm just like, I'm so done with Kelly. Kelly has to jump in anytime somebody says something, and that's fine. But then when the other side of the couch jump in to defend somebody, then they have a problem. But at the end of the day, I think Cynthia was trying to explain to her how this show run. She said, hey, people come on this show, they have a lot of financial stuff going on, and then Pinky comes in, well, I've passed the test and I'm on the show and I qualified to be on here as a housewife with a business or whatever. And Andy said, we don't check W-2s and IRS tax returns when we hire people. So Cynthia was trying to tell her, hey, people come on the show with all kind of financial problems. I had a restaurant, it didn't do good, but it's okay. Pinky is in the understanding that you got to be rich to be on the show and be in good standings financially. And Andy just cleared all that up and said, we don't check people tax returns when they come on the show. So Pinky, have several seats, calm yourself down, and stop snapping on people. I did not like Pinky's attitude in that conversation. She was very, very aggressive toward them. And I hate using aggressive when we talk about black women, but we got to call a spade a spade. Pinky, you was aggressive talking to Cynthia, Portia, and Phaedra when all they was trying to do was explain to you it's okay what happened. It's a learning tool for everybody, but at the end of the day, take some accountability for the people who invested in your business and lost their money, because you act like you didn't care about them losing money. You only cared about you got out of it untouched. And then you try to throw the race card in there. Well, white people file bankruptcy all the time. Bed Bath and Beyond filed, but these are corporations. These are corporations. You are an individual and your company may be a corporation or LLC, but money, people are giving you money. These companies are ran by CEOs. They're not getting a lot of investors in there at that point because the companies have already been established. You are taking people's money and losing it, and then you're like, oh well. And I want you to think about that, because down the road, if you try to get another company running and wanting investors and they see you don't care if the money gets lost, you may not get the same investors. And like Phaedra said, there were young black people who put money into your business. And that's what she was concerned with. And the way you was acting like, well, it has to be a color thing. It wasn't a color thing. She was basically trying to tell you people have faith and supported you. And then when the job got tough, you filed bankruptcy, which is fine, but you didn't even apologize to these people for losing their money. And maybe you did it privately, but you had a chance to do it on that stage and you act like you didn't care about it. And I think that's what she was talking about. So then they go to this meat gate. Once again, Pinky snapping at Phaedra. Pinky, you were dead wrong. Everything pointed to Phaedra did not start the rumor that you ate meat. Shamia and Kelly, both sitting next to you, said they did it and they apologized and you was fine with that. But then you refused to apologize to Phaedra because you talking about she called corporate on me and tried to get me fired. That had nothing to do with the fact that she did not start the rumor about the meat. Now, whatever she called the corporate on or allegedly called on you, it was something else, dealing with something that was more of a threat type thing, which apparently it was an alleged threat, allegedly. And apparently it wasn't. And even Andy said, no, I know Phaedra for a long time. That ain't how she operated. And trust me, if I didn't get the call or the head honchos didn't get the call, then it wasn't a big deal. So you try to throw Phaedra under the bus and it backfired. With Pinky and Kelly and Shamia's forgetting the OGs sitting on the couch have established relationships with Andy. So you're not going to sit there and tell him some BS about them because he know them way better than you do. That's all I'm saying. So that didn't work. And then of course, I think Pinky, at the end of the day, she disappointed me. And again, I'm like, Pinky, you the survivor story. You can come back next year, thriving with your new business next season, thriving with your new business, and let everybody see how to overcome bankruptcy and come back and be back on top. That attitude, Pinky, it has to change. It really does. Um, Angela. Angela, George, and Shamia Ashley thing, I'm over it. It was proven that George did say something, and he may have said it in a term that did sound a little more sexual than it should have, which led Angela to believe that something happened. Then they made the phone calls and the text messages, and we all proved that that never happened. I just leave it at that. I don't know why they had to revisit that again. Then Kelly inserts herself in the conversation. Angela tells Kelly, go get a husband. She said, I had a husband for 11 years and I didn't have to get pregnant to get mine. Kelly, again, below the belt. We seen your husband, Kelly. We seen your husband. So don't act like getting pregnant is beneath you. We seen your husband. And I can guarantee you did not marry that man for his looks. He must have had a hell of a personality. And I'm going to leave it at that. Now, what's the name star? Angela said, look, I'm sick and tired of Kelly going back and forth. I'm not talking to you. She called her motor mouth Kelly. She called her surround sound Kelly. And it just went on and on. And then Angela is saying, hey, you trying to, so Angela and Shamia start going back and forth because Shamia is like telling Angela, you are trying to put these bodies on me, trying to say that I've been sleeping with these Hawks players, and this has probably jeopardized my job. Now, Angela was calling Shamia victim, bully. Now, Angela did apologize to Shamia for doing that, but she added something at the end of the apology, which we really don't like when people do that because it doesn't make the apology genuine. But for some reason, it seemed like Shamia was upset because, and Kelly, because they're over there saying, Angela, you have more smoke for me than you do for somebody who said that they want to sleep with your husband. But Angela said, hold up. And then that's when Portia came into the play and she said, hey, I apologized to her. We had a conversation and we dared at that. And that was it. And that's exactly what grown women do. And that's how they became friends. And Angela even said the same thing. But she said Kelly has a big issue with Portia and the married man comment. Kelly's like, well, you keep saying that I slept with married men. Why are you saying this? And then Portia had to remind Kelly, you came out with the married man comment first in the first season. And you sat there in Shamia's house and said, why you take that lady's husband? Yes, you did, Kelly. Now I understand people feel like Portia's Portia, y'all kissing Portia ass, but you got to call a spade a spade. And then Portia even said, after we sat down and had a conversation and apologized and started to move forward, you still went back and started talking crap about me. You still went in the confessionals, calling me Horsea and all that other stuff. What did you expect her to act? How did you expect her to act, Kelly, going forward? That lets her know she can't trust you because she did sit down and have a conversation with you, and we thought that was dead. Now, Portia said, look, I would take her. She accused Kelly of sleeping with somebody coming back from the BET Award and some pastor. And then they swing over to Phaedra. And she said, this is Phaedra client. And then somebody in the corner talking about client, attorney-client privilege type thing. Phaedra never said nothing. Phaedra said, I talked to my client. It's a done deal for me. Phaedra never said anybody's name. But then Kelly and Portia start throwing out names of other people. I believe Portia is telling the truth. That's what my instinct tell me. Portia Kelly never denied the BET Award dude, but she denies this pastor. Now I don't know who this pastor is, but she never denied the BET Award. And Portia also said, "You keep talking, Shamia. I'm gonna throw some names out on you. I'm gonna throw some bodies on you too." So these ladies was about to spill the beans on everybody, and I think Andy was kind of like, "Oh, pull back. I ain't trying to get no lawsuits because you know they had already sent out a cease and desist letter on somebody. I think Shamia sent it out on Angela." But I understood. I kind of like, look, Kelly, if you think that that guy we seen you in the picture with, who is your husband of 11 years, and you ain't go out and do something with somebody else, okay, I'll believe you. I believe him. I'm sure you married him. He has a great personality, and I'll just leave it at that. Now, Shamia, I'm not going to accuse that lady of anything because she is married. However, she may not have done some things that they're saying she done, but Shamia does seem like she kind of flirtatious when it comes around different people. Now, Portia did, like I said, she took the lie detector test. They talking about what's not admissible in court. Phaedra said, you know, it all depends. See, that's the thing with Phaedra. Phaedra's not jumping on anybody's side. She's going to be honest with her responses. You know, so when Kelly tried to throw that dig, like you friends with somebody who tried to get you fired from the show, Phaedra just looked at her. And I said, see, Kelly, you keep going below the belt. She said, I'm gonna keep my foot on your neck, Portia. And Portia said, I'm gonna keep my foot on your little back. I'm like, ooh, Kelly, you cannot get in there and rumble with the big dogs in the ring. Portia and them been around. They are shade assassins. You messing with the wrong people. That's all I'm saying. They're gonna come back at you and they're gonna do it with class. Now, Phaedra said she kind of co-signed on what Portia was saying about this person being her client. She kind of co-signed on that, Kelly. So I'm thinking there's truth to that. Kelly wants her to name the people. And Portia's not stupid. She's not throwing names out there because she's not trying to be sued. So that's why she won't say any names. Now, at the end of the day, Claudia Jordan name comes out. Shout out to Claudia Jordan. And Claudia Jordan made a comment, I guess, saying that Portia and Kelly date the same guy. Maybe she knew who the guy was. I don't know. That's the second time Claudia Jordan name and came up on this housewife stuff. Because remember the first time she was the one that spilled the beans about allegedly Pinky being pregnant. Now they're talking about her spilling the beans on some dude that her and Portia dated. And Portia said, yeah, we both date the same person. The thing with Portia is she gonna tell you who she dated. She has no reason to lie about it because Portia was probably single at the time she was dating these people. Because one thing about Portia, when she's married, she's married. And when she's single, she do whatever the hell she wants to do. So again, she said, of course, Shamia inserts herself in there, back and forth, going back with Portia, you know, and then they're arguing about the moms again. And Andy said, keep the moms out. She said, tell your mom to keep your name out my mouth. Keep my mama name out your mouth. This back and forth. Andy said, look, just keep the moms out of it. That's it. So after this arguing back and forth, Andy says, you know, where do we go from here? And Portia said, to hell. And that's kind of where it ends. Now, we'll make this one comment. Kelly said, nobody sitting in this chair owns a brick and mortar. I don't know where the delusion comes with Kelly sometime. And like I say, I like Kelly. I think she's comical, but sometimes she goes overboard when she's trying to shade or argue with people. She got to know how to keep it cute and don't cross the lines. And that's where her and Shamia kind of that's where they kind of, her, Shamia, and Pinky, they kind of cross the line sometime. On these housewives, they argue back and forth, but there are some lines that you never cross. And the mama lines you're not crossing. And then Kelly tried to get a little bit deep, and she kind of gets below the belt with some of her comments. When she said it, I said, now you sitting on this couch with Phaedra Parks trying to insinuate she don't know how to do business. Cynthia didn't have businesses. Portia has thriving businesses. Drew is getting her business set up. You sit next to somebody who filed bankruptcy, and you filed bankruptcy, but you telling them they don't Phaedra, she doesn't know anything about the business. And you telling her none of these people have brick and mortars. Just because they don't have a building don't mean they can't do business. People do business on the internet and make good money without having a building. They can operate out of their house. You could be a real estate agent, don't have an office. You can have an office in your home. You don't need a brick and mortar to be a business person, Kelly. Maybe that's why you having problems with your business. Now, one of your businesses is closed down. The other one, I guess, is starting to flourish a little bit. But for you to tell other people who have been successful on this franchise before you even came that they don't know anything about running the business, girl, be quiet. Because the people you're talking to on that couch ain't filed bankruptcy. And they've been on that show for 10, 12, 15 years. Ain't none of them have filed bankruptcy yet. And Drew is actually an actress who's been acting since Disney. So she don't need a brick and mortar because she do films. And I know you said straight to Tubi, well, so is Shamia Films. Shamia's on Tubi too, your bestie right next to you. Girl, Kelly, I like you. But you're going to have to look at yourself this season and figure out what to fix and where you fit in this. Because if you don't stop the lies, because we know you lying half the time about half the stuff you say, flying helicopters in front of your yard and picking you up in your house and picking you up for dinner and having police escorts around the city of Atlanta. We know that's not true, Kelly. Because if it was, you'd have showed us a video of it happening. If you don't get to this lying thing straight, it's going to stop being cute and you're going to be out the door. Remember Mia be lying? Where's she at now? Trying to beg to get on the Housewives of Atlanta because she's unemployed because she lied just one too many times. Bravo ain't going to take that too much. Shamia, we like you, and you got to film with Portia. You got to stop all this resentment. Your friendship is over. Let it go, Shamia. It's over. Now figure out how to come in there, show up, do the job, clock in, clock out, and let it go. You don't have to talk to Portia and be best buds with her, but you can be cordial. But arguing with her every time y'all sit down, I noticed a reunion, that's what y'all do, but I don't want to see that next season. And Pinky, tone it down a notch. And it's sad to say the person who I thought would be the most rah-rah is the most calm of them all. And that's K. Michelle. Bring her back. K. Michelle is figuring it out. K. Michelle is using deductive reasoning, critical thinking, and she see where the mess begins. And she's starting to realize I might be on the wrong side of this damn couch. That's all I'm saying. That's my recap of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. A lot of shenanigans, but it's the same old players. Shamia, Kelly, and Pinky. We tired. We tired. And the ladies on the other side of the couch, they're sitting back watching y'all dig their hole deeper and deeper. And I'm going to tell you something about Andy Cohen. When Andy Cohen's done with you, he's pretty much done with you. So y'all might want to chill out. And he's looking like, yeah, I'm gonna get him one more try. And after that, they might be out of here if they don't change his attitude. And Kelly, according to what we're seeing, you might need this check. All right. Now, the social media beef, all I'm saying is Angela and Kelly, get off of social media, wait to film and start, and get that on camera. Okay? Because Kelly is over here talking about Angela's house foreclosed, and the whole world has seen that Angela was not lying about Mr. Gary, who has sued you and won a judgment for $83,000. It's all over the internet, all over the blogs. I'm not going to post it, but it's there. So Angela was not lying, Kelly. Once again, we catch you in another lie. Going back and forth, going back and forth. Stop it. You had your moment, the standard. Now leave it at that. Ride it out, make as much money as you can off of that, reevaluate where you at in this cast, look at how you behaved in some or look at least how they edited you in some of these scenes and do better. That's all we saying, because back and forth on social media is crazy. You don't see Drew and Portia them going too much back and forth because they vets, they know better. They know when to ignore stuff. And when they do come at you on social media, it's subliminal posts. Kelly over here just calling names and posting y'all got to stop that. Just stop it. And I'm going to move on from the housewives. Let's talk all things Belle Collective real quick. Again, more drama on social media. We seen some of the interview on that podcast with Shantae. Carlos King, I don't know if you giving Shantae a full-time role, but this one little season we seen Shantae, she swears she a Belle. She out here giving interviews like she been on this show for the last 7 seasons. Who is Shantae? Now I understand she has been in the rooms while the ladies was filming. This is the first time she had a talking role, but this lady is out here giving interviews like she's an actual Belle. And based on what she's saying in these interviews, I would not hire her. And then one of you Belles should be trusting her, and that includes you, Letitia Pearson, because she seems like she would cut anybody's throat or get anywhere she needs to get to fame, chasing clout. That girl wants to be famous. I haven't seen Amanda on that many interviews. I know Amanda's outside noise and Shantae is outside noise. Amanda's probably being coached correctly by Latrice saying, calm down, don't do that. I'm trying to get you a regular friend of the show. Don't do what Shantae doing. Because Shantae, what you're doing right now is going to walk you out the gate. Or people like to call Carlos messy. He may think it's good for the show. I personally don't think so. Because the stuff Shantae was talking about was too much. She done told everybody business. Why would I trust you and want to film with you? When you went on a podcast and you said this lady had 8 terminations. And if that is true, her body, her choice, and it's her business. You should never reveal that. That is not for you to tell. That is not your story to tell. She don't really want no baby. If she did, that was disrespectful. Then you accused Tamara of lying about her father's illness because you couldn't hear the stuff on the phone. Then you said when they picked him up in the ambulance, she was talking about it was a stroke, but it wasn't. They misdiagnosed it. They didn't know what they was talking about. She was lying because that's not how it would have went. I mean, he just, oh, look at her mom. Her mom's okay. That was not needed. And if I was Tamara, I'd probably be up in your ass right now talking about my dad, especially if he actually is and has been diagnosed with dementia. You out of line. Then you talk about Latrice and her blood clots issues. If she had blood clots in her lungs, why is she walking around in heels? You're supposed to have blase blase on your legs. You're supposed to elevate your feet. You shouldn't have. Why? Why are you saying all this? Then you talked about Latrice and Cliff's lawsuit against the employees and the employees that they didn't treat right, and you're spilling too much on social media, and to me, it's not a good look. And if it was my decision, you wouldn't even be friend to the show. We don't need you because. And then you talked about Selena and her. You talked about every single Belle, but you're trying to get a spot on the show. Them ladies ain't gonna let you in no circles they in. You talked about Marie. You talked about every single Belle. You talked about Tamara's house where she really lived at. She not filming there. She was filming in her old boyfriend's house. I mean her Damon's house. You talked about the old dude that she had the restraining order from. You brought up everything. There was no secrets untold by you, Shantae. Shantae. Letitia Pearson, if that's your friend and she's out here talking like that, imagine what she's saying about you when you're not in the room. There's no way in hell that Shantae needs to be a Belle. I don't even need to see her in the background anymore or any speaking roles. Glenn, one time I'm gonna agree with you. Shantae needs to go. She ain't. Amanda did make some mistakes. She owned her mistakes. Latrice vouched for Amanda, but what Amanda ain't been doing is running around here telling folks business like you have. You're out of line. And if you're going to do that, do it on film. But you all on social media after the season and rolled over. Shantae is not a good look for the Bells. Just my opinion. Um, she said she was in the Air Force. I don't know. But she just not a good look. Y'all got to do better with that Shantae. That's all I'm saying. Now, last but not least, we're going to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville. I know I did a quick video when we found out that Martell and Coleslaw was filming. So here is my disclaimer, and here is my warning public service announcement. Because Love and Marriage Huntsville has some well, I'm gonna say, has some very, very passionate fans. I'll use that word. And depending on which side of the fence you're on, they may attack you in the comments. I don't know why. I don't know these people. We don't have a dog in this fight. Our commentary is based on what we see on the TV. We are well aware, I'm well aware of Ariana Curry's history. I've watched it season one, day one. I'm well aware of Melody leaving the show. I'm well aware of what Carlos allegedly did as far as the grooming. I get all that. I get it. And I don't fault her for leaving the show. I do not hate Melody. I don't have anything against Melody. I like her. I support her. And I think what happened to her when it comes to Ariana Curry and Martell Hope was bullshit. I think it was terrible. I think it was disrespectful. I think it was horrible what that girl did to. I think it was horrible what those two people did to that young lady, intentionally causing hurt and pain to a woman who is your wife and the mother of your four children for some side chick. But I also believe that Martell is really in love with Ariane to a certain degree. And Melody was the trophy wife that he wanted because she fit all the boxes and checked off all the boxes. Beautiful, smart, intelligent, degree, money, da 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 da. But Ariane is what he really liked, some hood rat heifer. Okay, so he wanted the model wife, but he wanted to roll around in the hay with the hood rat chick. And the hood rat chick, in the words of Portia Williams, was trying to destiny swap with Melody, in my opinion. This is the first time I can actually say this is a real live destiny swap. Okay. And I don't mean she's going to live the life and style that Melody lives because she ain't that bright. She'll never be as smart, as intelligent, as beautiful as Melody. Nobody's going to mess with her in that sense. But she feels in her little pea brain of hers that she got the man and she got the part on the TV show. I have now the new Melody Holt. I have destiny swapped with her. Baby, you could never be Melody. Now, I know in my video I said, hey, it's about time she hit the show. And the reason I say that is the end of the day, this is Martell's real life. And as much as we hate it, she is part of his real life. They have been divorced for almost 6 years. So and I get it. He still harasses her off and on, bothering her about the kids. That's just who Martell is. He's a freaking narcissist. And then unfortunately, Melody married this guy. Maybe not knowing it because he probably played a role as being a nice guy. Because Kimmy always say, Martell's a nice guy. Martell's a great guy. He had all of them food until he turned on them. So the Martell that they seen was the Martell that Melody started seeing later on in the marriage, and that's why she divorced him. But while she was divorcing them, the other side of the house was saying, Martell's a nice guy. Martell's a nice guy, because they did not see it until Melody was out of the picture, and then he had nobody to fight with but them. See? Now, I always said that Coleslaw may not make the show unless Kimmy and Letitia agree to it. Because one thing about reality TV, and this came from the king of reality TV, in order for a character like Ariane to come on the show, a very divisive character, a character that nobody likes, a character that, somebody on the show allegedly is their side piece and had a baby by and all. In order for that person to come on the show, all cast members have to agree. So that tells me that the Scotts 1.0 and 2.0 and Nell Fletcher and his wife and Nell and Chris agreed, and Destiny agreed, and of course Martell agreed. They all had to agree in sync for her to be on the show because they have to film with her. See, they can always say, she can come on the show, but I don't want to film with her. They can always say that, but they did not. They all had to agree to bring her in to film with her. And if you notice, they're all sitting at the table together filming with her. That means each and every one of them were okay filming with Ariane. So don't look at it like, you hear Tisha saying, she broke up a marriage. You hear Nell saying, Nell saying, so what made you want to mess with a married man? He was my best friend. How was somebody's husband your best friend? And she said, well, I thought that was Destiny. How was somebody's husband your best friend? Now, Destiny, I look at it a little differently, but now they're trying to say that Destiny is sleeping with Martell. But Destiny and Martell was apparently friends before he met Melody. So that's a friend he came into his marriage with. You don't get friends after you marry. That's a friend that Melanie knew that came to Melanie's house. They hung out together. She helped her out. That was, she considered her a friend that her husband knew back in high school or whatever. But you came after the fact. You're not a married man's best friend that he met after he's married with some kids. It's one thing if you was friends with him 5, 10 years before he even got married and met Melody and she knew you. No, you came in after. So that's bullshit. I don't even know why. I wouldn't even let her say that. I would have said, now, girl, come on now, please. But we don't know how it's going to work out. We just seen it. Also, you see, the Scotts apparently lost the house they was working on into foreclosure, and that just gives Martell even more juice. What? He said he's simply better than me. He ain't better, and he lost the house. I'm like, Lord Jesus. Marceau, you know I love Marceau. Now, I will say I'm a Marceau fan. But why you let Martell get this on you, Marceau? Don't let that happen because you know he going to run it in the freaking ground. She's sitting there next to Martell in the confessional. She thinks she has won the freaking grand prize. I don't know how this is going to go. It can be good or bad depending on what people think. I hear a lot of people saying they out, they dropping out, they not watching, they don't need to see this girl. She is benefiting off of this lady's, not just her husband as she, broke up the marriage. Now she's benefiting off the show that was her dream that she created, and now you bringing her on there. Now this young lady, Melody, of course, we know walked away from that show, told him she didn't want shit. She better than me because I would have said, you will keep my name here as executive producer and I'm going to get executive producer credits till this show ends. And what will not happen is that Heifer will not show her ass up on my show. See, I wouldn't have gave her that option, but Melanie doesn't think like that. I understand she got bigger things going on. She got her deal with Drew. It looks beautiful. I may go in there and buy some of the products because I do buy her products. So she is elevated to a different level. She ain't down here with this petty stuff no more. Because this whole season, once again, is going to be about who cheated, who sleeping with who did what, instead of we need to build some real estate. We still haven't seen any real estate get built. Meanwhile, down there in the world of love and hip hop, Mendeeza done built a whole community. And y'all still over here getting houses foreclosed. And it's Martell can't sell a house. He had to move her into the house. Chris don't have his realtor license yet, but y'all a show about real estate. So let's see more real estate. We like the drama too, but we also like to see productivity. For instance, on Belle Collective, there is drama going on, yes, but we also see Marie at her homes, her nursing homes, whatever she has. We also see Letitia doing her women's brunches. We also see Carrie trying to figure out how to get her restaurants up and going. We also see Latrice down there at Taste and looking at her property and her Airbnb she building. So we see that stuff. Now Latrice done built 3 or 4 houses on her land for Airbnb, and we still over here foreclosing stuff on Love and Marriage Huntsville. And Chateau Charest, Scott 2.0 still ain't been built yet. And we don't know what happened to the little place that Kimmy was complaining about that Marceau hadn't finished. We ain't doing the real estate, but we doing the messy. So now we're gonna accuse Destiny of sleeping with Martell. I don't know if Ariane wants to get in bed with Destiny and have an issue with Destiny, because Destiny is about that life. Ariane, you got Martell to back you up. You think you something. But let me tell you something. If Detroit Destiny come out, it's a wrap for you. Letitia done already dealt with Detroit Destiny. You don't want Detroit Destiny to come out. Now I know they're gonna keep Miss Wanda at bay. I ain't seen her filming that much. But if you go too hard on Letitia, if y'all have an incident, wanting to get out in that car and drive down from Bessemer to Huntsville, is a wrap for you too. Because those ladies are waiting on you. As much as they dread what happened between them and Melody and all of that, they also understand this girl got dirt on all of our husbands. She was in Atlanta when they was at this alleged event, boys trip. They know she know more than what she telling, and she could tell off. She gonna come in there and try to control them. And they need backup because Letitia and Kimmy, I don't care what nobody say, they ain't ready for Ariane. Ariane got a mouth on her. And I thought maybe she would calm down. But when I'm hearing her voice in the back, I'm like, she's still that running off the mouth girl that we heard on YouTube. Girl, you ain't grown up yet. You still with this petty shit. That's why she on the show. Now she comes in the confessional. I don't know where she got that wig from because according to her, she didn't need a wig. She had a good hair. She put it in a bun. All you have is need wigs. My hair is good. I'm young, tight body, fine. Took her husband with my eyes closed. Baby, you ain't looking like that now. The age is catching up to you. That dress, where did you get that dress from? The thrift store? Like seriously, if you could have got something better, you could tell she ain't got a stylist. Because you could have went to fashionova.com and came out with a dress better than that. Seriously. That dress was horrible. That hairdo, who told you to put a split down the middle and a flip up like, I don't know, Popeye, I don't know, olive oil. It was just weird to me. The hairdo just did not fix. You did not eat on that look, Ariana. You may thought you ate because you was sitting next to Martell, but he's a big dummy. But you got the man you love. He got the woman he love. Hopefully, y'all go off into abyss and live happily ever after. The problem is, at the end of the day, they are on social media going back and forth about this decision. I don't know if it's a good decision or a bad decision, but it definitely has people talking about the show. I would hope she don't have too much airtime. I don't want to see her every episode, and I don't want to see her come in every scene causing some problems either, because we don't need that. We do not want to relive what happened 5 or 6 years ago. Leave this woman, the ex-castmate, and her children, all leave them out of it. I don't want her name coming out her mouth. I don't want her referencing her. Leave her out of it. Okay, we let that lady live her life. She's raising some beautiful children. She's raising some young, black, beautiful entrepreneurs. She is a businesswoman. She got a lot of stuff going on. She don't need the bullcrap from this show to feed into her life because y'all want to use it to make y'all selves relevant again. We are tired of this storyline. It's been going on for 6 years. And yes, people say, well, Ariane does have a right to be here. She's Martell's girlfriend. She need to tell her side. Her side of what? What side of a story do you have if you come into a person's marriage and get pregnant by their husband? What side of the story is there? You a side chick? What side of the story do we need to hear to make us feel sorry for you? Because it could have easily been resolved like, no, I do not mess with married men. If you should get a divorce, look me up. And you and Martell would have never be in this predicament you in. And he may still be married or may still be cheating. But I also noticed there's other people who are getting some kind of sick thrill out of her being on the show because you think it's a slap at the ex-wife's, slapping her face. Kiki, aha, look, she's on your show. That lady don't care. She really don't give a shit. Y'all really think she's sitting at home concentrating on this when she's over here building empires and businesses. This right here to me is little petty stuff. Now, I'm not saying the the producers are right or wrong for bringing that girl on. I understand Martell is still executive producer. I understand Martell is still the castmate, and we have to start showing his life because normally when he come on, all he do is come on, raise hell with everybody else, and leave the scene. So he wants to show his real life, and we all cool with that. Show your real life, Martell. And unfortunately, she's part of his real life. So am I shocked she's on the show? No, I said a couple seasons ago. Last season. Early this year, last year, I said she'd be on the show soon. I figured she would show up sooner or later because one thing she wasn't going to do, she wasn't giving up till she got on the show. And the reason I knew she was coming on the show is because she scrubbed all of her social media. She was very quiet for months. Nobody heard from her. And then she starts sending out these subliminal messages. Y'all gonna see, watch and see this and that. That told me everything I need to know. And everybody's like, what is these subliminal messages for? What's Ariane talking about? I knew right then and there that girl filming. And when Letitia said, woo, first day of filming was rough, I knew right then and there that girl is filming. Now she happy as a log because in her eyes, she's somebody now. She's special. She is a celebrity. That's all she ever wanted. She just wanted to be a celebrity. And she finally got there. Destiny swap. You finally got what you wanted. You got the man, you got the position on the show, and now she thinks she big shit. We'll see. Are you going to save the show? Or are you going to cause the show to go away? Because right now, your presence on the show is going to determine whether that show stays or goes. Because if a lot of people do what they say they doing, and I don't think they will, but a lot of people saying, I'm out, cutting, I ain't watching. If a lot of people stop watching and do a blackout, you may be the reason that show fails. Because in my eyes, everything you touch is going to fail because you cannot find happiness trying to make other people miserable. If your only way of being happy is to destroy other people and make them miserable, then everything you touch is going to fail. And that's what you've been doing since you walked into that man and that woman's marriage. That's all you ever been doing is constantly trying to make them feel bad, trying to destroy what they had, and you succeeded in it. And then you threw it up in their face and had the audacity to show up at a courthouse or whatever. You are literally, something's wrong with you, seriously. But you keep saying, I'm a nurse, I'm going to do this and that. Why didn't you just go to that hospital or wherever you the hell was at working and just went on and did that? But no, you want to put on, come and see. Some people only operate in chaos. They only operate in chaos. That's all they know. And you give me that vibe that you're the type of chick that only operates in chaos. So good luck to you. Good luck to the show. I hope y'all have a successful season. And at the end of the day, I hope it was all worth it. Now, this is Generation X Nation. I know that was long, but I had to get that out. Love and Marriage Huntsville are out here on these YouTube streets, Twitter, Instagram, and it is just hot and popping. Belle Collective, do something with Shantae, please. Now, of course, Latrice did an interview, and she debunked everything that Shantae said. And I love Latrice, but do something with Shantae. And Real Housewives of Atlanta, Kelly, please. For the love of God, be quiet. Let Shamia fight her own battles. Just stop interjecting. Okay? Pinky, tone it down a notch. Shamia, you're going to have to get them lies and them stories together because it's just not matching up for us. That's all I'm saying. All right. And with that being said, this is Generation X Nation. And as always, you guys go out and have a great rest of your day. And I'll check with you next time. And I am doing a video about something I normally don't talk about. It has nothing to do with reality TV. But I have to talk about this subject because I am sick and tired of being sick and tired of watching this over and over again. And as a community, there are certain things that we need to start doing and policing our own selves with and our children. Okay. And with that being said, you guys go have a great rest of your day. Just your next nation. Peace. And I'm out.